How's it going, guys? My name is TJP and welcome back to another video. So I'm doing a tutorial in today's video. I haven't done a tutorial on just on anything in a very long time, but the reason I'm doing this tutorial is because I did a comment on one of my videos. I think it was the 99 overall WNBA career simulation, and it's basically how to make a 99 overall player and import them into MyNBA. Now there are a few ways you can do this. So I'm kind of just going to go over each way that I'm aware of, and if you guys have any other ways that you know of, let me know down in the comments below. But I'm just going to do every single way that I can think of. So with that being said, leave a like, subscribe, enjoy the content, comment on some of my videos, socials, playlist, second channel, main channel, down in the description. Play the comment between TJP, and want to see more tutorials. With that being said, let's get on into all the ways. All right, so the first thing that you would want to do is obviously you're going to go through the process of creating a player. So you know when you go into 2K23, you go to features, right? Create a player. You go through that process, and once you do that, you will have your created player. In this specific case, we're going to use Eddie Rollins because he mentioned 99 overall. So there's a few ways you could do this, right? So you could make a custom roster or use a custom roster, and you could copy said player to either free agency or any team that you might want to assign him to in your custom roster. So we'll start off with this way first. So let's say, for example, I want to copy him to free agency, right? I could do that, and then I could save this roster, and then he will be in free agency, right? And I could do this for any roster, really. So like if I wanted to pick a roster, create a roster, this could be whether a 2K roster official, an injury-free one, or any other user-created roster from the 2K share that you might want to download. I guess in this case, I'm just going to use the injury-free roster. We'll load that up, and then I think I need to copy him over to free agency again, so I could do that, and then save that roster, and then he will be here. But another way that you could do this, let's say if I didn't want to, do it through a roster, was importing and exporting player DNA. Now, this is the way that I would do it, right? Depending on like what your scenario is that you might want to do. So, for example, Eddie Rollins, if you go to his, create a player screen, you can have the option of importing and exporting player DNA. So let's say if you wanted to create a player, you would go to import DNA, and you could import the DNA of any NBA player, or you could download, player DNAs that other people shared on 2K share. So if I wanted to change Eddie Rollins up to something like if I wanted to be LeBron James, I could do that, and I could import all of his features. But I'm not going to do that. But then there's this export player DNA option. So this is how people get this data onto 2K share. So in this case, you would click that and hit add new player, and then you would add your player here. In this case, I already have Eddie Rollins, so I'm not going to add him again. But that's what you would do. And now there's a few ways you could go about doing this. So I will show you kind of just like each way. So we'll remove the changes there. And if you wanted to, let's say, have him in a draft class, you could either do one of the following. You could do this here. You could create a draft class of your own and then load it up. Like you could do the NBA, and again, you could use a new draft class, which an auto-generated one, right? And if I wanted to, let's say, edit this player and then import player DNA, I can use an NBA player, or I can load or download any NBA player DNA from 2K share. In this case, I'm going to use Eddie Rollins. So now I can have the option of importing appearance and attributes if I want to just import his appearance and keep the attributes that he currently has, or if I want to import the attributes and then he doesn't look like Eddie Rollins, he looks like some guy, I don't even know what his name is. So I can do either or. I'm going to import both, and there you go. So now Eddie Rollins is here, and then I can then choose to save this draft class as something, and I could share it. And then when you go to your MyNBA and it asks you to pick a draft class, you would pick this one. So I guess for this scenario, we will save a draft class here. We'll just overwrite father son, and we'll just call it DC. So there you go. And that'll be that. And I'm not going to share a 2K share, but we'll just keep it locally. And again, these are the same thing with the WNBA players. It's the same process. So, and this is the same process on any next-gen console. So, Xbox Series X, Series S, it'll work exactly like that. So, we've got that there. Now, I'm going to show you guys my preferred way of importing players. So, we're going to go through that process right now. So, it's not by custom roster. Because, you know, when I did the career sim, I didn't assign a player. But I'm going to show you guys my favorite way of doing it, and that's through MyNBA itself. Here, so I guess we'll just pick this one outside of search. It doesn't really matter. So, this is where I prefer to do everything. It is through the actual MyNBA itself. So, the first option right here. So, we talked about the draft class. So, now I could do one of two things with the draft class. I can load and download a custom draft class already. Right, I could load the one that I made, or let's say if I wanted to, you know, use this Jack Move one specific to this save and this save only. So I can load that up, and now I want to go to the scouting and the prospect scouting. So there you can see Victor Wembanyama and all that. Now, what I could do is, let's say if I go all the way down here to this, you know, really bad player, Terry Cooper Dyke. Okay, what we could do is we could edit this prospect. Okay, and this is where the player DNA comes in. So I can import player DNA, right? So I'm going to do that. I could use an NBA player, or I could download one, or use my own file. So this is the 99 overall, right? I'm going to import both, and now we've got Eddie Rollins. So now that's it, and we keep the changes, and it doesn't really matter about this. We'll just say no, don't ask me again, because we're never play it. So yeah, now Eddie Rollins is in this draft class, and he is, you know, going to be amazing. So, better than this French man right here, Victor Wembanyama. But that's one way. That's one way. So, you know, doing it through here, which is pretty cool. I like that way. Now, the other way you could do this, let's say if you wanted to put him on a specific team. So, what we're going to do here is, well, there's a few things you can do. Number one, you could actually create a player from within your MyNBA. So if you wanted to create a player, you could do it from this screen, and then boom, it's here. Now, in the MyNBA here, I could copy Eddie Rollins to free agency, and he's been there. So now if I go to free agency, he should be there. So if I go to the roster, go to free agents, and there's Eddie Rollins. Why is LeBron James? Oh, it's like, wait, this is all players. Where is free agency? Oh, yeah, contracts, my staff, free agents. There we go. So, yeah, as you can see, Eddie Rollins is in free agency already. It's pretty good. Can't negotiate a contract with him. But another thing you could do is you could copy him to a team. Now, you'd have to release players. So, let's say if I go to my roster, let me just release... we'll release Jaden Springer for this example. And we will then go to free agents and... well, we could negotiate a contract with them. Actually, I can't afford him. But you could sign him in through free agency. Now, let's say you didn't want a specific player. So now if I'm the Sixers, right, this is where the player DNA comes in. This is the best way. This is the way that you should do it with the player DNA. Let's say if I don't care about Joel Embiid anymore, right? I can edit Joel Embiid and then replace his DNA with that of my creative player. So I, again, load the player DNA up, and then go to Eddie Rollins. Boom, he's there. Import both. And now Joel Embiid is Eddie Rollins. You know, Joel Embiid might win MVP, but this guy is going to be the greatest player of all time. So then that would be that. I'm going to remove the changes, though. We'll keep Joel Embiid. And that'll be that. So, I think, did we go over? I think there's one more that I want to go over, but I think I got most of them down. I think I got most of them down, but I do want to show you guys one other option here. And that was where the player DNA was. And so if I go to, where is it? It is under options and player DNA. Right, so here, this is the same menu that we had in the main menu, right? We could edit the DNA, we could delete the DNA. Yeah, This is where we get, so I can edit his DNA if I really wanted to, change him up. And that editing the DNA should not affect the creative player. So if I change Eddie Rollins' name, or if I change his nickname to the natural, I think then his creative player wouldn't change, but the DNA will. So then every time I import Eddie Rollins' DNA, it'll now be, instead of the monster, the natural. So I could do that too. Now, I don't think that's too important for that, but I just thought it'd be nice to, kind of note. But I think that's it. I think we went over all of the ways that I'm aware of copying and pasting over creative player data. Again, the player DNA is the way to go. That's the way I would do it. I wouldn't really make a custom roster and then load it in. Because, again, you could just do this directly from MyNBA. That's the best part about this, right? MyNBA is so customizable that you could do it, everything through here. And, again, it's the same thing with the WNBA. If you wanted to do a WNBA player, it's the same exact process. If you wanted to put it in a draft class, you can edit a current draft class and then put through your 99 overall player in there. And it's wonderful stuff. I mean, granted, you could save it if you know you're going to reuse it again. But it's a very easy process once you have that player DNA exported to just continue copy and pasting it wherever it needs to be. You head out. You can do this in the historic eras, right? So let's say, for example, Shaq, edit player. Instead of Shaq, I could change Shaq to Eddie Rollins. So again, it's the same process. So you could do this in any era you want. The Magic Bird era, the Shaq era, the Kobe era, or not the Shaq era, the Jordan era, which is what I'm in now. But yeah, there you go. I can make Eddie Rollins, and then I can complete that, and then save the class. I'm not going to do that, though. But again, you could do that there, right? You could copy over, right, your player DNA to other players that are currently in the league, right? You can create players from here. Again, the player DNA is here, so you could copy that over to any player you want and override it. So if I wanted to, again, I can go to a roster, Hershey Hawkins. I can edit him, and if I didn't want Hershey Hawkins and I wanted Eddie Rollins, you just go to import player DNA and do the exact same thing. It's very simple, very easy. Hopefully I got everything and it made sense. Again, Kobe's the GOAT. Thank you for the suggestion. I know you said you needed some help. If there's anything that's not clear, please let me know down in the comments below. I tried to make it as clear as I could and show you guys all the ways that I'm aware of. If there's any ways that I missed that you find better, let me know down in the comments below. But if you had to ask me what's the best way of doing it, it's the player DNA. So definitely use that. Make your player, export his DNA. You can save it locally, and then you could just copy paste that DNA to any player you want. You could do that in draft classes. You can copy him to free agency. To a player in free agency, you copy, if you don't want Miles Bridges, you can use Eddie Rollins, right? So it's that simple. That's how I did it for the WNBA. It's the same for the WNBA. I'm not going to show you guys that, but that's it. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. So hopefully it was clear to follow. And if it was, like I said, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And again, leave me a comment down below if you need any help. I'll try my best to answer it. Any criticism, let me know. I guess. I don't really know what else I'm saying. I'm done. I'm going to head out. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Peace.